Um, cool. Hey, Chezelle.
Hi, Cheryl.
How is little man?
He is, I want to say he's well, but he's actually not at the moment.
Oh,
He's picked up a cold. So, yeah, he's been at home with me more than he's been in nursery this last like couple of months, literally, because he just keeps picking up the lurgies from nursery.
oh gosh,
And yeah,
that's tough.
so yeah,
That's tough. So the support is
he's at
there,
home
but
this
then
week.
it's like nursery,
Yeah,
yay, no nursery.
exactly, yeah. And you probably saw my my rant in the group a few weeks ago where I was like, oh, he's meant to be
Yeah.
starting, and then he's not. So
And
little
so many people jumped on that. So it's really, you can see that a lot of us have just got real issues at the moment with the childcare and working
yeah,
from home, and
yeah.
it's a lot. It is a lot. Thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I think these conversations are so important, because sometimes you're trying to do what you could do, holding everything together by like a thread, and you
Literally.
feel quite alone in that. And then actually, when you look around and you actually get an insight, you realize that a lot of people are going through a similar thing.
Yeah, and so it was really interesting hearing the other lady, I think it was Nicola, I can't
Yeah.
remember. Yeah, the other day it was really good to kind of hear her, story and how she copes over the last sort of few months.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
amazingly powerful. What we're handling, I'm so in awe
I
of these
know.
girls. um, but yeah, I suppose my first question is, can you give us an insight into what your situation is? Like, what's your setup?
Yeah, so at the moment, I have just started up a home business, which I've been running for the last 5 months as a virtual assistant business. So essentially an online or remote PA. But then I've also got my son. So I had been a stay-at-home mum the last 3 years with him, and he had only just started nursery in September. But as I just mentioned, he's been at home more than he's been at nursery. So it's kind of a balancing act between trying to run a home business and look after my son at the moment. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you are basically doing the dream. I speak to so many mummies who are really finding it hard to balance, and what their dream is to have work that they can work around
Mm-hmm.
their children, and for them to be able to earn, but also prioritize family life. So
Yes.
you're kind of you're walking the talk, basically. So many women I speak to saying, yeah, that's my ultimate aim, but they haven't actually done it yet, because you get used to a wage. You get kind of like used to that payday, and to
Mm-hmm.
not be able to rely on that, it's tough. So tell me, how do you at the moment, um, how do you juggle your work and family life?
Oh, it's such a balancing act at the moment. So when my son is at nursery, I try to do what I can in those few hours because he's only going a few afternoons per week. So during that time, I try to have a bit of me time, but then also try to do work. But I think most of the time, I mean, let's be honest, I'm working in the evenings. Once he's gone to bed, I'm probably up until midnight, just trying to utilize that time where there's no distractions. I can just actually get my head down and do what I need to do. Um,
Mm.
that's basically it, I think. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who's managing this way.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's that odd thing about, yeah, no, I want to work for myself so I can work whenever I want and have no one breathing down my neck. But the reality is, you go from working 9 to 5 to a 24/7.
Basically, yeah. Basically, that is literally it.
Yeah,
But then there is the advantages of the fact that you're working for yourself, which is always nice,
exactly.
and you're doing it for you. So that is
Yeah,
one of the pluses about it.
yeah, and that flexibility counts for a lot. Just to
Yes.
dispel any of the myths, mummies, it's not. It takes time to build up. your reputation, and to actually be bringing in money that's going to replace your income takes a little bit of time. But it does feel amazing to be able to choose your own working hours. And I suppose, how do you it's easier to work at midnight when you've decided to.
Yeah, exactly. Not because you're doing it for somebody else and you have to make that deadline. So yeah, there is the benefits about it, but there are also the cons as well.
Thank you so much for that insight. Can you tell us a bit more about what it is you do, just so we get a real sort of idea, and in case people want to use your services in the group,
Oh, lovely. Yeah. So as a virtual assistant, I offer basically your typical PA services. So that's kind of your email and diary management, you know, customer support. I also do things like newsletter support, so uploading and scheduling newsletter content, uploading podcasts for my clients. Yeah, and just kind of, handling, maintaining databases and, that sort of thing, research. So just a typical admin sort of services. But then also I offer Instagram management as well, because I enjoy Instagram. And this is the beauty about setting up your own business, especially virtual assistant. You can offer the services that you enjoy and that you have the skills in. So I enjoy using Instagram. I can spend hours on there scrolling, and in my spare time I've learned, tips and tricks of how to grow an account organically, or engagement strategies and things like that. So yeah, I offer that as a service as well, and just help some of my clients build up their following and engagement, and try to generate inbound leads for them.
That's really good to know. That's amazing. And I love that you've got a specialist area as well. That's
Yes.
very, very cool. Good for me to know as well. Cool. I've got some questions for you which are slightly a left field, but I want to sort of dig deeper and really get more of a 360 rounded view of who Chezelle is and what makes you tick.
Okay.
So I'd like to know who it is that inspires you.
That's a very good question. When you said it to me, I really had to dig deep. It's kind of funny actually. So it's a YouTuber. Her name's Raven Elise. She's actually a single mummy, but she is bossing it. So she's built, like a 6-figure business on YouTube. She manages, looking after her little girl, but then also just running her business, and she works hard. You can tell she's been on YouTube for a long, long time. But I just like the fact that, how she's down to earth, but then she's, like this big star in the US, and she's just, managing her business and, really like bossing it.
I love that. I think that's what's brilliant about this social media age. You've got just, normal people who are gaining their celebrity status, but actually it's real grafters. It's not we went through an era of overnight success where if you do something outrageous then you get a load of attention, but now I feel like there's much more of this, as you say, this sort of grafter that you can tell she works hard and has kind of built.
This is it, yeah. And I think where I relate to the fact that she is a mum as well. I think because it is hard trying to be a mother and run a business. There's a lot of juggling and late nights and putting other things first, sometimes before your own self-care and your own health. So I think that is where the inspiration comes from as well. There's so many other people I could probably mention, but she's the one that stuck out for me.
That's a really good one for the group, so we can look her up. Say her name again.
Raven Elise.
Raven Elise.
Elyse. Yeah, check her out.
I'm definitely going to. Thank you so much. Okay, so when you're not working really, really hard, what do you do to relax?
I don't relax these days. Lay on the bed, sprawled out.
Yeah, crash out.
No, that's a really good question. I can't tell you the last. I think what I try to do is take Saturday evenings off. We tend to kind of go out for a little family meal. So that is probably my relaxation, because I like to eat. Food is life. So going out for our family meals on a Saturday. I know we've kind of been not able to do it as much, but for me, you know, that is something I really enjoy, and that's probably where I'll call it relaxing.
Oh, so important though, and I love that you mark it weekly, and it's family time, and you know, it's a treat.
Yeah.
It's so important that we schedule that in. I would like to see more. Well, seeing as we're here, I've got a workshop on Thursday evening, which mummies you should all come to. And we're really going to be looking at how we're leaning into our feminine cycles and how they can help us get the highest energy, and how we can really sort of benefit ourselves in terms of how we're using our time and how we're regulating ourselves. So that's a really cool moment to segue into that. But thank you for your Saturday night family time tip. Good. Is there anything that you like doing just for you? So not including the family.
Yeah, well, I mean, I took Fridays off out of my business to have for myself, and just not do any client work. But then I've ended up spending it cleaning. But once, what I've done actually is, so as of the beginning of November, my son's going to be going to nursery on Fridays, and I'm going to try and dedicate that day where I just spend it on myself, and whether that's getting my nails done or facial or massage or something, or we're just going out shopping. That's going to be my new routine from November. So at the moment, there's not much that I've been kind of doing to kind of take for myself, but that's something I want to start implementing into my routine.
I love it. Amazing. Thank you. And you mentioned family time, so your partner is also there helping you.
Yeah.
What do you think are the challenges when it comes to parenting and having a toddler? What are the difficult aspects?
Um, I think the age that he's at now, so he's 3 years old, and he just seems to be like a free-nature at the moment. So like this evening, he's just throwing tantrums for no reason, not wanting to eat his dinner. So I think sometimes the challenge is when they really test your patience. You know, it can really just wear you out. Or sometimes, you know, when I'm at home with him, he follows me literally everywhere I go, like every room. Like he's literally right up behind me. And it can feel a little bit suffocating at times. And it's like, I love him to bits, but sometimes it's just like, oh, I just need that space. So my hubby is like my respite. So when he comes back from work, it's like, yes, take him. I just need like a moment to breathe. I'm usually in the kitchen cooking, but it just means, you know, that just that little half an hour I can just finish the dinner and just breathe.
Oh, I get it.
Oh,
I get
you
it.
probably know, yeah.
It's so funny. I posted that meme today, and I know a lot of mummies were like, "Oh my god!" The one with
I don't think I
Dolores
saw
from
it.
Game of Thrones, and she's got the dragon on her shoulder, and it's like
Right.
all day, and then they get home, and you're like, "Oh my god."
That is me. Yeah, like take him from me, please.
Oh, funny. Amazing, amazing, amazing. No, that yeah, it's good to have that time where you can just be like, doesn't mean you love them any less, but yeah,
Right.
they do get stalkerish. They do go through that stalker phase, and yeah, and then you know you don't want to do too much screen time, and then you're like, oh my god, give me
Right.
the screen, give me anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't worry, we're
Oh gosh.
all here with you. Thank you. What is your best relationship tip? Because I know that it can get hard. Um, yeah, I've got a follow-up question to that. Yeah, what's your best relationship tip?
Okay. Um, Communication, that's probably just like, you know, a really cliche one, but I think it's essential, it's key, and I think that's in any relationship, whether it's friendship, business relationship, and you know, relationship with your partner as well. Just, you know, if you're feeling some type of way or whatever it is, I think it's just always essential to just speak up, and vent or share how you feel, whether it's about, you know, your child or just a relationship in general, I guess. Don't know if that answers your question, probably, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it can't be said more. It can't be said enough. Like communication, communication, communication. Don't let
Mm-hmm.
things stew and get your
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you have a problem, just try not to sit on it for too long and don't let it, you know, boil up, because then it ends up just getting worse. Just talk about it. And it doesn't have to be always an argument. It just have, you know, just a mature conversation. Yeah.
Amazing. My follow-up question is, how do you split it? Do you have, okay, so you do bath time and I'll do dishes, or do you do your days are Monday to Wednesdays and my days are Thursday to Saturday, whatever, and everyone does Sunday? You know, how is it 50-50 or, you know, 80-20? Are you doing, you bring home the bacon, I'll cook it? Like, there's so many different models. Like, what is it for you?
That's actually really good. I like that Monday to Wednesday, Thursday to Saturday sort of idea. But no, so what we tend to do is, as soon as hubby comes back from work, he tends to take him off my hands and then gives him a bath. I'm usually finishing dinner. Then we eat together, and then my son usually has probably about half an hour or so before it's bedtime, and then hubby puts him to bed, because when I try to put him to bed, he just wouldn't have it. But for some reason, he seems to go to bed for my other half. So yeah, that's essentially it. He does bath and bed. I mean, I have him all day, so I think it's only fair. Yeah, and then usually at the weekends, he tends to try to take him off my hands a little bit as well, just so that I can just have a bit of space. So, you know, I take him out to the park, or he does a little bit of football training with him now as well. So, or just go out to the shops or wherever it is. So then I just have a few hours, a couple of hours to just breathe. Or I might be doing some house chores and stuff, but it means I can do it without little one right behind me.
Amazing. It's good to know how it works.
Yeah.
Some people have so many different ways.
And I'm actually intrigued to hear how other mums and, like, you know, their partners, how they manage their evening routines or just typical routines. Actually, be really interesting.
Yeah, I love your setup though. Like, you both just know, like, okay, so this is you do the evenings. I've done all day, so this is this.
Yeah, I think it just works. I
Yeah,
think it's good when you know who's doing what, because then
yeah,
there's no complaining too
yeah,
much.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think it would be a lot, you know, to like, I mean, I know there's some people who are single parents and they have no choice, but, you know, if I have them all day and then do bath and bed as well, it'd just be really full on. So I think I'm fortunate in the sense that I do have, you
Yeah.
know, my hubby to come back, and he's just happy to like just crack on with it. And I guess it's nice for him as well. He hasn't seen him all day, so he gets to have that time with him. Yeah.
Oh, good. And how was it in lockdown when he wasn't going out to work? Did he find more appreciation for you and what you have to do?
Well, actually, he worked all throughout lockdown.
Ah,
Yeah, so he was classed as a key worker. He works in manufacturing, and they were building ventilators actually for the NHS. So
wow.
he was needed, and yeah, so he ended up working all throughout the lockdown. So in a way, nothing changed for us as much, and we were very fortunate, obviously, that, you know, he's the breadwinner, and he was fortunate enough to keep his job. And I guess the only thing that was a little bit difficult was the fact that, you know, like, you're forced to stay at home. So for me and my son, you know, I'll take him to soft play or take him out to the park or wherever it was, and we couldn't do that. So that was the only slight difference. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, we were kind of fortunate in that sense. It did feel a little bit suffocating at times for me, just because, you know, I had it all planned out that he was going to go to nursery, and, you know, I would have that bit of time, and then things didn't happen that way. But we were quite lucky, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What you're touching on there is something that I've heard quite a lot, because I speak to mums so much, just because I'm really interested and I like to get to the get underneath the skin of what's going on. But a lot of mums have, had their maternity, their whole, first year lockdown. That's such a precious time, those 9 months or a year, and it's been 7 months. So when you started to say that because we couldn't go out, you found that tough, just can you speak a bit about how lockdown has affected you in terms of the restrictions and it's not your network and things like that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's probably the same for a lot of us, but there's something different in like staying at home when you want to stay at home in comparison to staying at home when you're told to stay at home. And for me, I found that difficult because I just couldn't go when I wanted to go out and just take him out, and I felt bad for him. And we were so lucky that we had a garden as well, and we've got quite a big space, so I would try to take him out there as much as possible so he could run around, and I got him like some garden toys and things like that. But for me, what I ended up doing sometimes was when my hubby came back from work, I would just go out for a walk, because I just felt like I just needed that breathing space. And even though I had been a stay-at-home mum the last 3 years, there was just something different about it. I don't know if it's just because things were just really weird, and obviously we were all going through this change, this weird time that we've never experienced before. So maybe it's just like a psychological thing. It just felt like it was just a little bit more intense. So being at home all day with him, even though I had done that before, there was just something different about it. So sometimes I just need to go out for a walk just to clear my head and just to get some fresh air and just have space, away from just my son and just everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because safety, I mean, we're processing feelings of anxiety, of wanting to be a good citizen, wanting to be a good mum, thinking about what your child is missing out on, thinking about what you are missing out on, money. I mean, there's a lot to process. How do you think it has changed you, or is it for the better or for the worse?
I think for the better now, because the first couple of months I wasn't working on my business, so I set up in May. I was going to set up before, earlier on, so around end of Feb, March, and that's when it all started happening. So I held off because I thought it's just didn't feel like the right time for me to announce a business when we're all just going through this weird time and trying to adapt. Once I felt like we had all settled a little bit, and I think we kind of got a bit accustomed to the new routine, that's when I launched. And it's just been great ever since. Because I had something to focus on. So I was, focusing on setting up the business, marketing myself and networking. And then, I've got to the point where I've got clients now. I've built up, some really good relationships on my social media platforms. My confidence has grown so much throughout this process as well. So the last, number of months, it feels like we're not even in a pandemic at the moment for me right now. So it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah,
What
I
an
know.
alchemy that you managed to turn lead into gold like that.
I know. I never would have thought. I never would have thought, honestly.
Amazing. And so how are you getting most of your clients?
Through Instagram, actually, yeah. I've spent the last number of months just networking on there, putting out content, and so much so that people are sort of reaching out through DMs. Sometimes they're just looking for a virtual assistant, come across my page and then inquire through my website. And then just sometimes people, just because I've connected with so many people now, sometimes they refer people onto me and pass on, potential leads. So it's mainly been Instagram. I am thinking of some other avenues as well, but at the moment, that's my main focus.
Fantastic. What a great note to end on. Before we go though, I really want to ask you, what would your message be for other mummies? What's your kind of like Chezelle as a person? What's your kind of the vibe that you want to be putting out to the world?
Yeah, so excuse me. My message to mums now is, if you are in a position like me where you have been thinking about setting up a business, but you feel like you're not able to because you've got your little one or little ones, and you think it's impossible, because I did. I thought I wouldn't be able to work from home with a child. Just know that you can do it. It is possible. You will make time for it. You will find the time to dedicate it to your business, and also looking after your child. It's a juggle, don't get me wrong, it's not easy, but it's definitely doable. And I never would have thought I'll be saying this, but yeah, honestly, I think if you really want to do it, just go for it. And in terms of what I want to put out there is confidence as well. Like, my confidence has grown. I did invest in a mentor who really helped me as well, and pushed me and just held me held me accountable, is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and I think that's really just what boosted my confidence. So yeah, confidence.
Great. Amazing. So good. So guys, remember, look Chezelle up. You can add her if you're looking for a virtual assistant. Also, come to my workshop on Thursday evening. I'm a coach. I work with mummies. I've got a program that's opening soon, but the workshop is completely free. So you'll get a flavour of the kind of stuff that I'm going to be sharing. I'm going to be doing more of these motherhood interviews because I feel like they're so important. Like, I'm so inspired by Chezelle. I love your story. I love your techniques. I love your positive attitude. I love that you've just done something during a time, something powerful during a time when you would have been forgiven for just surviving. Everyone's done well by just surviving. So the fact that you've turned it around in such a powerful way is just so commendable. And yeah, amazing. It's so cool to speak to you.
Yeah, it was lovely chatting with you. Thank you so much again for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for agreeing to speak to me. I'll see you.
Yeah, see you. Take care.
See you.
Bye.